So let's begin with a look at what life is like for historical interpreters. Too many people get their understanding of the past only via history textbooks and through movies that are based loosely on real events. Taking visits to historic landmarks can give you new insights. Historical interpreters work at such sites to give history a human face. Let's find out why seniors are drawn to historical interpretation and what it's adding to their lives.
Before we start, I want to ask you a question. Why are you all here, besides the day out of school?
Michael Coale is a volunteer historical interpreter at the New Jersey Vietnam Veterans Memorial and Education Center in Homedale, New Jersey.
As you can see, right here we have the American flag, the state of New
His
Jersey
job
flag,
is to bring this place to life for visitors, and he loves it.
Those that are unaccounted for.
It gives me something to do, it gives me a purpose, it gives me an aim in the morning to get up and, oh, I have to go to the Veterans Memorial today. I'm up ready to go at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mary Ellen Culp is an historical interpreter at the William Paca House in picturesque Annapolis, Maryland. William Paca was a signer of the Declaration of Independence and a governor of Maryland after the Revolutionary War.
I see my job as making the Paca House and history in Annapolis come alive from the people that choose to come into our house. And it is most satisfying to work with people that know a lot about history. You really develop a dialogue as you go through the house. And then on the other hand, it's also very satisfying to have someone come into the house that maybe isn't quite sure why they're there, maybe their wife made them, but at the end of the tour, you feel like they're enthused, they're engaged, and they've really learned something.
Across the country, many seniors have found fulfillment serving as historical or cultural interpreters at our nation's landmarks. For some, it's a way of passing on lessons of the past that they acquired firsthand. For others, it's a chance to explore a subject or period that they simply find fascinating.
The couple times that we did.
As a Vietnam War veteran, Michael is well suited to his work.
Now notice this fellow ring finger. He has a ring on. He was married. I was married when I got drafted. And I'm still married to the same gal all these years later. So, keep the tradition alive. Anyway, it was tough though, being married and heading off to, war.
Michael's one of a few dozen tour guides who spend an hour and a half with each school group as they come in to tour. And he takes them out to the memorial and takes them into the educational center and gives them a lot of factual background, but also shares his stories with the kids who come in here and really helps them personalize history and really understand it through his eyes, what it was like to be an 18-year-old in 1968.
I think it's okay to put your personality into the tour, and oftentimes you can just tell by the people you're taking through if they will appreciate the fact of how Mary Paca was dressed in the morning, what that involved, how long it took, that sort of thing. And of course, as a woman, I'm interested in that sort of thing.
All of our interpreters, or docents as we call them, are people who work directly with the public. They are helping to educate the public. They're really acting as ambassadors for the William Paca House to the community and to visitors.
Memorials, battlefields, historical parks, museums, and nature centers all have need of historical interpreters. Some are looking for people who can lead tours or answer visitors' questions. Others want historical reenactors. Most positions are volunteer, though some are paid. Many interpretation programs offer training. Retirees often make ideal job candidates.
There are many people out there who maybe had a very busy working life in a career and want to change careers, in a sense, as they retire and maybe do something that they always wanted to do. If they always wanted to work in a museum, if they always wanted to know more about the history of their community, this is the kind of work that you can do that's very meaningful.
As senior historical interpreters indulge their passion for the past, they may also be building a healthier future for themselves by staying active. A recent Vanderbilt University study found that people who do volunteer work experience better physical and mental health.
Our docents have to be on their feet, so they have to be able to walk through the house and upstairs, because we have quite a few stairs in the Paca house. They didn't have many ADA compliant buildings in the 18th century.
Every time I'm here, there's something to be learned. There's something to be learned from talking to other veterans also. And I try to get them to come here and be volunteers. Let them enjoy it. It's you know, they will come out of their shell if they're in a shell still. I mean, there still are some mental problems out there with these guys.
It seems to me that at this point in your life, you have the time, and we all have interests that we've built up over the years. So what could be better than to combine those two and do the things that you like to do, but also contribute to your community? Seniors
really bring the availability and the desire to share with others what they've learned over their lifetime. So they're perfect people to be here on a tour with young people. And I think the young people energize them.
In their own ways, Michael and Mary have both found that their work has added meaning to their lives, and that is surely the most important benefit of all.
I always think back of how lucky I am to be here, to be able to do this. It's an incredible feeling of self-satisfaction. I mean, just to pass on to some of these young people your personal experiences in Vietnam and explain to them what the memorial is all about and the education center. Let them read certain things that really are important. And it just means so much to me. I kind of regret that I didn't do it sooner in my life.
If you're interested in history and you're interested in a figure like William Paca, that it just becomes natural. Your enthusiasm and your interest allows you to absorb everything, and you're in this atmosphere, you're constantly learning.
Even if I get to one person and they never forget something I told them, you know, what we went through, and it would mean so much, not only to me, but those whose names are on these memorials.
Here with me to tell us about working as a historical interpreter and how seniors can get involved is Ranger Steve McCoy. Ranger McCoy is a Maryland Park Ranger and the director of the Mid-Atlantic region of the National Association of Interpretation. He serves as the Chief of Interpretation for Maryland State Parks and is very involved in the park's volunteer programs. Ranger McCoy, thank you for being at the Daily Apple.
Well, thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit more about historical interpretation.
Well, historical interpretation is an activity in which we bring people into that particular time in history. We also can call it living history, and we find a lot of folks are very involved in recreating certain parts of history through costumed interpretation or through various other forms of communication to really talk about a past time or a special event in history.
How does it differ from cultural interpretation?
There's not a whole lot of difference. Historical interpretation is really more of a specific form of what we consider cultural interpretation. Cultural interpretation does not necessarily have to be historical in nature. It can interpret a modern culture as well.
Now, as a historical interpreter, what kind of roles do you actually play?
Some of the roles I personally play, I do a few different historical characters for the Maryland Park Service, portraying an early Maryland Ranger from the late 1700s or 1600s.
You do the dress-up thing? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, I do. It's living history,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I'm also gearing up, preparing a presentation on Captain John Smith in light of the upcoming anniversary of Jamestown and John Smith's exploration on the Chesapeake Bay.
Right. I heard about that. Now, were you always an historical interpreter, or did you have to have some kind of background to
No, I personally was not. My background is more in the environmental field rather than the historical field. But I've found that my fascination and my own passion for history has really taken hold of much of what I do in my profession and my personal life as well.
Now, we were talking about a little bit about dressing up. Do you have to have any theatrical training, or is it just improv?
It helps. It really depends on how the interpretation is approached, whether you're doing it from a third-person point of view when you're speaking about the time period, or if you're actually becoming that person in a first-person atmosphere, a first-person presentation, that's when the acting skills are a big help for that.
So what kind of other personal characteristics do you think are important if one of our viewers wanted to, you know, obviously we have a lot of mature adults that are out there that are wise and know history. If they wanted to become a historical interpreter, what do they need to have from a personal standpoint?
Well, one of the most important aspects for any interpreter, whether it's historical or environmental, is a passion for people, first of all. They feel the need to communicate, the need to talk to people and impart whatever wisdom they've achieved throughout their life. So first of all, that passion for people, but then also the passion and fascination with the resource, the particular resource they are planning on interpreting.
So when you arrive at work in the morning and you're not play acting, what's your typical day like?
Well, unfortunately, much of my work is administrative at this point. I don't get to spend as much time in the field on doing frontline interpretation as I'd like to, or I have done in my career. One of my best parts of my career right now, however, is training and working with individuals to better their own interpretive skills and expertise.
Are a lot of those interpreters actually mature adults?
Quite a few of them, as a matter of fact. Speaking mainly from the Park Service, the Maryland Park Service, we have roughly approaching 7,000 volunteers through any given year. And at least 40 to 50% of them are mature adults.
Now, if a mature adult is actually interested in becoming part of this service, how do they go about doing that? What kind of steps do they take?
Well, it's quite simple. The easiest thing is to contact their local park, or if there's a particular park or historic site where they have an interest in, or if they know something about a particular event. For instance, if they're interested in the French and Indian War, we have Fort Frederick State Park out in Washington County, or the Civil War, we have South Mountain State Battlefield right outside of Hagerstown, Frederick area.
How fabulous and rich this information is. Thank you for being here, Ranger McCoy.
That's my pleasure.